For those of you who've been following on the forum, there we are. That's the cam chain adjuster. I've got a difficulty in how to get the retaining nut over there. It's not playing. That's perfectly set, but the retaining nut won't tighten up into place without taking this with it, tightening it up to its maximum. Came up with this little idea, and the wisdom on the forum is that the chain will slacken off. There is grease packed between each link. It's not too tight. In fact, it's set perfectly there. It's just this. It's tight enough not to allow for any adjustment just when I needed it. However, here we go. How about that? I've got some spacer washers to act as in place of a lock nut. A lock nut is on the later model of the tensioner. This is the type D without the lock nut. I'm imitating the type E. I can't get hold of a type E at the moment, but I will. I'll look out. In the meantime, I'm going to try this. It looks like it will do the job. It'll keep the retaining nut away from the tensioner, not interfere with any adjustment at all. Perhaps buy me some time while the chain is slackening off. While we're here, if I can do this, there we are. Now I don't know whether you can see down here. I'll turn. These have got a definite ridge halfway down, and I put my finger across there, and old Tom, who did the rebore on the jugs that are on the bike, says that this set of cylinders has been stood and honed pretty badly to make some oversized pistons and piston rings fit. It's not done the job. It's left a ridge, and probably contributing to the engine. Before I did the top end, before I've rebuilt this, every time I kicked it, it was a real beast. Loose cam chain, the fact that the bores were not bored out properly, ill-fitting pistons and piston rings allowed oil through, multitude of sins. Let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to press ahead now and put things together. First thing to do is put the housings back on the point side, and then around the other side at the advance side. I put the old spark plugs back in to avoid the obvious. I don't want anything dropping down in there. There's the housing. There are the housings here, all bagged up. I know where everything is, all the nuts and bolts. I'll just put that on there. Drill's ready. Back in a mo. Here's the right side, the advanced mechanism side. 3 bolts going in. Bit unorthodox. Don't have those 3 screws. Help if anybody's got them. But in the meantime, I can put these 10mm head, I think 6mm bolts in here, in their place, because the mechanism for the boiler ignition doesn't use the original XS650 weights mechanism that swings around the mechanical advance. As you can see, well, that side's going on. I'll just tighten that up, get around the other side. I forgot to mention, I put new gaskets on the set, new gasket behind this housing. Also I added a bit of oil behind the oil seal there, just to lubricate. Nice touch of oil, and away we go. Here we are on the point side. That's the housing. Some of you will have spotted straight away what I've missed on the other side. I'll just put this down. Can you see around the outside there? Here's the fella. I've got to go back round the other side, take that off, put that on. This O-ring. Just be patient, go back and do the job properly. Then I'll put this one on. I've done the other side, put a bit of oil around that seal, give it a bit of lubrication, tightened it up again, and back to this side. As you can see, I'm on a wing and a prayer with these little screws. I've got to be very careful. They're at the end of their useful life. I'll work those in tight, very gently, with a bit of pressure behind, and then move on. Okay, I've just got the big fella out here to nip these up. Just put a bit of pressure on these, make sure, and that one up there. Come on. Gosh, they are broken. Bit of twist there. Yep, that's nipped up. Okay, I'll put the boiler ignition back in. Here's the boiler ignition back in the box it came in when I dismantled it. I've got to put this back in. There's the arm that goes through the cam. That's the lock nut and the spacer and the washers at the other side. That's the Hall effect disc, Loctite. It's superb, that stuff, isn't it? I think that was thread locker, the one that you can't get off. Well, I certainly won't be able to get it off. And here's the electronic mechanism there, the pickup. Let's go. Bit of grease. Let's reach in here. A bit of grease. I'll lubricate. I'll spread the bout. Spread that right along there. Give it a chance to turn. In the cam. Don't think there's any great difficulty. I'll make sure though, and I'll tighten up at the other end. Yep, just put the boiler ignition in, slipped it through and put the cover over. Keep everything secure till I need to go back and adjust that. Next, the other side. Here's the cam chain tensioner retaining nut, type D. It doesn't have the lock nut, so what I've done, I've taken some quite thick washers, don't know how many millimeters, what's that, 4 millimeters thick. I've taken 4 of these and I've slipped them over the cam chain. I don't want the cam chain adjuster. I don't want the cam chain adjuster moving from that position. That's flush. When I kick the bike, it moves out just the requisite millimetre or so. Perfect. If I put that over there like that, put on the nut. I've oiled the cam chain adjuster so I don't actually turn the adjuster. I don't want that to move, so I'm going to tighten that up. I think that should be just about do it until the cam chain slackens off. I can go and take those washers out, or my replacement type E cam chain tensioner that arrives when I find it and order it. I'll put a new one in there. Good, let's move on. The carbs are now out of the old army tin. There goes the bag, floating away in the wind. I'll just sit on the bike here, see if I can get the bank of carbs around here. And what I'll be doing, one-handed, impossible. Let's see though, let's see. Can I squeeze those in? One-handed. Well, it needs some adjustment. I'll have to slacken off that retaining. But the carbs are going to be back on in a few moments. Back soon. Oh, actually, let's put the kettle on and have a nice cup of tea. Well, the battery's on charge. Okay, don't talk about it. I know it's a bit of a rat's nest in there. That to be sorted out. We'll get to that. Here we go. I've put the engine bracket on at the top. One thing, I will not go near starting this engine until I've gone round and round checking things are tightened, in place and ready. Well, there we go. That was good. A packet of 10 spark plugs, new, have arrived. What are they? Yep, they're the right ones. So I'll fit some of those when I move in. Now I've done the cam chain adjustment, fingers crossed for that one. I've adjusted the valve gaps there, the tappets. The rear, the intake is it's 0.06 millimeters. The exhaust 0.15 millimeters. And I've done it several times because you turn the engine, it goes out slightly, and I spent about, what was it, an hour last night trying to get them just right. Eventually I did, and here we are at the flywheel. Now I've got to get this, and I'll check them again. I'll get this to top dead centre, anti-clockwise turn, move these spark plugs out of the way. As you can see, I've got two marks. One is a previous mark, I'm going to disregard that one. That one just comes after top dead centre, but just a smidgen. Let's get it round. Let me have a look. Can you see that? Maybe at that angle. How's that doing? Yes! Actually, that's just going to touch past, it doesn't matter, I'll go around again and do it. Test that everything's at top dead centre, take the spark plugs out. Oh, why didn't I do that? It would be easier to turn that round. I'll double check again the valve clearances. I'll start with this left hand cylinder intake and then do the right hand side. What I'm going to do, once I've done that, double checked everything's in position, I'm going to take this protractor and I'm going to find 38 degrees advance of my top dead centre, and I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to, now that gap between top dead centre, as you can see on this PMA, top dead centre and advance is 38 degrees, so I can double check with that, with those two lines. Yep, then I can set the electronic ignition in there, tighten everything down. I fitted the top engine bracket. I'm going to go around and check everything's tightened up. The battery's on charge, give it a bit of juice. Fit the throttle cable, put the rocker covers back on, and we will be ready to see if this bike fires up. I'm just painting on some marks on here on the PMA. This one is 38 degrees in advance of the top dead centre. I've just used some model enamel paint to guide me like this. There, I think that should do. And that's going to be, oh dear, it's a bit thin. I'll have another go and mark that top dead centre. Okay, I've marked two lines, top dead centre and 38 degrees in advance of that. Let's see what we can do from here. Things are going well, but too well. Something is going to cause a bit of a hold up here. See this? In the housing? Cracked. I'm going to have to go to my second engine and take off the remaining housing there, which is the advanced side. I have to dismantle the XS650 advanced mechanism, put that somewhere safe for if anybody wants that, and fit that housing here. Okay, let's go. Patience, I've taken the housing off the other side with its seal all nicely oiled up. I'm going to swap it for this one, the damaged one here. I'm going to have the damaged one on the other side so I can work on it. I've got an idea on how to fabricate something there. I don't want it here near the electric ignition, don't want any damage there. There's nothing to damage around the other side. Here we go. That's the boiler out again. I didn't say I had some difficulty with my spare engine. Flathead screwdriver, the 3 bolts weren't this crosshead, they were flathead. There's no way I can budge those. I need an impact tool to get those out, and I'm not going to damage the housing. That's a shame. Anyway, let's press on. This is the housing from the advanced side. I've taken that off. I've actually put the damaged housing on the advanced side, and when I put this on, I'm glad I had to stop and take it off actually, because I noticed there was a gap between the housing and the case. It's only a mil, maybe 2 mils, but that tells me that the bearing needed to be tapped in another mil, 2 mils, otherwise I would have an oil leak and have to take everything to pieces, do the electronic ignition timing again. Might as well do it now while it's off. Let's have a go. What I did, I've actually done it. I've taken the socket and I've put it on here and gently tapped around, very gently, taken a couple of minutes to do it. Each time I've tapped, I've put the housing against to see if it fits, and now it is flush against the case, so I know the bearing is in the right place. It won't interfere with anything. Right, let's press on. Bit of a catch up, another cup of tea, tidy up, just a bit of a refresher on where I'm up to. I've swapped the housings round. I've got the boiler ignition of the whole system in there and the rod through. I'll put the electronic parts in, as you can see there they are, and set that up. Oh, there's a call. Great time to call. Back in a mo. Several phone calls later, but progress is steady. Sun's going down a little bit. There we are. I've set my PMA using the boiler ignition. It's got to be top dead centre on the full advance mark, and as you can see 38 degrees later on the mark on the case that says TDC. I'll follow the instructions again to set that. There's the boiler ignition. There's a little hole with a mark, little white dot. Similar system that all Hall effects use. There we are. This side's ready. I'm going to do that fabrication tomorrow. I'll just put the tappet covers on then, and I'll go through my tightening down, fitting the fuel pipe, check. Maybe I'll start it this evening, maybe it's getting a bit too late. Don't want to disturb the neighbours. One bag of tappet covers or valve case covers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some new gaskets and seals. Okay, I'll put this lot on. Well, there we are, end of the day. It's getting too dark to start it up. I'm ready. I've checked all the nuts and bolts are tightened down, everything's connected. And again, oh well, I'm tired. I've got a couple of little things to do. First of all, put the kettle on. Then I'll sort a couple of odds and sods out. I'll tidy up this here. Go and put the gaps in the plugs. These are the old plugs still in. Battery's charged up. Everything's connected. The sparks capacitor isn't connected. I'll have a go at that this week sometime. I'll give it a clean up. And tomorrow we'll see if we can start. Okay, or tomorrow. I couldn't resist just before the light goes. I've connected the battery. I just put the switches on. Or have I? 1, 2, yeah, let's see if we got a spark. Always nice to know if you've got a spark or not. Yep, we are sparking. Turn off. Turn off. And tomorrow with new spark plugs, make sure the inline filter's all clear. Oh, everything's tidied up. Give everything a good clean, bolt down. I've missed a couple of things here to tighten up at the back. Need to sort out that plate, that license plate. Apart from that, oh, didn't check. Oh, no light circuit, what's happening? Yes, of course, there's a light circuit. Switch the right switch, man. Ah! Bulb at the back's gone. Oh no, it's not. It's just feeling a bit tired. There we go. That'll be fine. Bit of a loose connection. Let's sort that out. I need more lights on this bike. Not very good in the dark. It's not very good in the light actually. I might put a nice bright spotlight there, or a halogen light. I need some indicators. That little light there at the back's not good enough. I'm going to rearrange stuff. Put a new seat on. Have plenty of lights at the back, I like to be seen. A mirror, speedo, so I know how slow I'm going. Anyway, there we are. I'm ready. Tomorrow, more tomorrow. How will I sleep? Oh yeah, very easily. I'm just going to go in, have a beer.